Hello everybody and welcome to this Train Sim World 4 route suggestion. Today we are going to have a look at London Waterloo to Guildford via Woking. This was suggested in my Discord server by Trainboy2598YT. If you have any routes or any locomotives, rolling stock that you think I should have a look at, please do join my Discord server. Links are always in the description. And you can stick it in the dedicated channel. And then if I think it is a good suggestion, or if I have the time, I will get round to doing it. I can't do all of them because there are quite a lot. And I'm only making one of these videos a week, so it would take me years to get through all of them at the current rate. So I can never do all of them, and I'll pick the best ones, and I'll make a video on them. So thank you to everyone who's submitted. No limit on what you can submit, and I encourage everyone to put stuff there. And it's incredibly helpful if you can provide extra details that are slightly harder to access. So that said, all of the friggin' self-advertisement, self-promo out of the way, let's get straight into it. So the route, we've got 28.5 miles from London Waterloo to Guildford via Woking, not the branch that goes via Leatherhead, I believe it is, and as well the Hampton Court branch. There's 21 stations, and it runs along the Southwestern Main Line from London to Woking. The Hampton Court branch, just from, the Thames Ditton and Hampton Court stations, just on that little spur, and then it terminates. And then the Portsmouth direct line from Woking to Guildford. And this is sort of a truncation of an existing route for Train Sim World, for Train Sim Classic, which extended all the way to Portsmouth Harbour. That is about 70 miles, though, and it's unrealistic for the amount of stations, so I've sort of cut it back to a much shorter route. It's arguably the geographically less interesting part, but from an operational standpoint, it's the obvious choice. Although we know Dovetail don't like doing the obvious choice for whatever reason. But yes, this is the route that I think would be best suited to the game, and yeah, the rolling stock. So I suggest the Class 455 for the suburban services. That's, sort of a real easy pick. The Class 450-0 for the semi-fast trains, and the Class 158, which can be recycled for the fast trains. Possibly a Class 444 to do the express runs on the Portsmouth Direct and the Southwestern Main Line. Although I think that's slightly less necessary. That said, if they're doing a 450-0, they probably... It's much less work to do a 450 and a 444 than a 455 and a 450. So perhaps, if this happened, it would be easier to expect all four of those. I wouldn't think so. But the 455 you really have to have, because most of the services are on it. Yeah, the vast majority. 450 is then the next most necessary because there are a lot of services. And then the 158 is just recycled from Midland Main Line. I've put everything still in Southwest Trains livery, because due to licensing, which I believe is here, due to licensing, it's pretty much guaranteed. Well, that's the wrong word. We will almost certainly know that Dovetail have lost their first group license, and Southwestern Railway is a first group MTR conglomerate. They're almost certainly not going to give Dovetail a license to do any of this stuff, so that's why I'm saying Southwest Trains, because even though it's Stagecoach, so is East Midlands Trains, and because I believe they're no longer an operator, the copyright has fallen to the DFT, who are clearly very happy to give Dovetail permission to use the licenses and stuff. So I don't think there's an issue with licensing if it's Southwest Trains. And as far as the timetable goes, on the sort of fast or semi-fast runs, there's 3 trains an hour fast to Woking and then beyond on the Southwestern Main Line. There's 4 trains an hour fast to Guildford via Woking, and they continue down towards Portsmouth. So that makes for 7 trains an hour from Waterloo to Woking. On the electric services, there are additional services on the Class 158 that head out to the West of England line on the diesel service. I believe they're reasonably, like maybe 1 or 2 trains an hour. So, you know, there's additional service there. And then, of course, the very frequent Class 455s are doing at least 4 trains an hour on most services. And they run to Hampton Court, Woking, Guildford via both branches, I believe. And then there's also the 455s and 450s, and of course the 458s, but I'm not including them, that head sort of due west or northwest-ish out of Clapham Junction towards Reading and the suburban loop. Now, I'm not including that, but of course we can have access to those shorter services. And the layers. So I reckon we should have, with this obviously, rolling stock to finally populate Clapham Yard, rolling stock to finally populate Clapham Junction southwest platforms, because it's so dead right now on London to Brighton. Like, London to Brighton itself is a great route, but it is so dead because of the lack of rolling stock on the southwestern platform, on the southwestern main line generally. That is almost busier than the Brighton main line itself in that area, and there's nothing there, and it's so dull. And this is an opinion that most people share, and this is why most people are arguing for this route, just so they can populate Clapham Junction. And the advantage is that it will work the other way as well. So on this route, Clapham Junction in this route, you could have the class 377, 375, 387, 700 potentially even. Not the 700, because they don't run through Clapham Junction, what am I on about? But you have all of that stuff on the Brighton Main Line half of the station and on the flyovers and whatnot. And you can also have the 465s and the 375s on the southeastern approach to London Victoria and other stations around London. And of course we can have freight layers and whatnot. And the other one is we can have layers for Reading on the Great Western Express, whether or not they could be bothered to revisit GWE, because they've said previously that they're sort of just going to leave that to die in a ditch. Very dovetail move there. But there are DC platforms that the 450s and 458s run into at Reading. That could certainly be populated by these units if Dovetail cared enough to do that. That's all I have for this route. If you're interested in it, you can of course do your own research, and I encourage you to do that. Once again, if you have a route you'd like me to do, stick it in the Discord server. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.